Yeah, 58.
Mm. 2 minutes. Joseph is on his way. He texted me saying he was just running a little
Okay,
behind.
it just has to be there by the first.
So we have Suda and Amber and
Stephen and David.
Steven's here.
Sheet am I
Pam's
sitting in?
here.
Pam's here.
Tatiana.
Tatiana's here.
Ken's not here.
Joe's here.
Missing.
Joe's on his
Ken
way.
and Joe.
Ken and Joe are on their way.
Ken, I was like, there's someone else.
And we have a vacancy, it looks like,
Well, that's what we were just talking about, because Kyle.
because Kyle stepped down. Gotcha. So it just came available. Gotcha. All righty. And we need to get some teens in here, right? Going to be talking to Mr. Eric.
We were just talking about that.
Yep, I'm going to talk to Mr. Eric about getting on it, and
What
I
are
got
the
a
age
couple
group?
other.
What's the age range?
13 to 18?
13 to 18? Gotcha.
And is there any requirements for it, or?
Need to live in the city of Oldsmar,
Yes.
probably,
Yeah.
Yes.
but that should be the only thing.
They have to be under 18.
When their 18th
Yes.
birthday, they something.
So 18 is an adult, they,
Yes,
Alright,
like
okay.
the day of, you're no longer
okay.
Right.
appointed.
You should be able to recruit some people in some of your programs.
Yep, we'll start passing the word, for sure.
Because the other two were theater kids.
Yeah, actually, they were.
Participate.
Yep, they were.
I assume they have to fill out an application and do the
They
same
have to fill it
thing?
out.
Yes. We good?
But that's in your process now.
I got 5:59. Dee, 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 dee.
6 o'clock.
Yep, 6
Dee, dee,
o'clock.
dee. Now we're
Hit that
6.
gavel.
Okay, hit the gavel. Feel official. We are now bringing the Leisure Services Advisory Board meeting to order for Monday, August 14th. We will stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't need my glasses for that one, I don't think. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No prayer for us. Everybody can say their prayers for us on their own. All righty. We have our open forum. I think we do have a gentleman here that may want to speak in our open forum today. Please come on up, state your name and address for the records, and welcome to our meeting.
Thank you very much. My name is Terry Richardson. I live at 107 Brent Circle, which is over in Seaside Estates, just short way over there. I came here tonight because I own the Hobbytown store in Clearwater Mall. And one of my customers was telling me that you guys have been discussing the possibility of doing an RC racing track in the athletic complex. Is this something that's news to you, or you know what I'm talking about?
Chip will take this.
Mr. Chip, our Leisure Services Director, respond.
So we've had, there's been light discussion. There hasn't been anything solid on that. But it's something that we could certainly, take a look at depending on the hours of the facility and everything, but, so.
No, I think it'd be a fun thing for kids and adults to get involved in.
Could you clarify that?
Sure, yeah. Well, to clarify where I'm coming from, my customer's name is Brad. I don't know his last name. He apparently is a neighbor of the mayor's. He lives on the same street.
Uh-huh.
And he apparently knows you. You're Chip, right? Yes. Yes, sir. Okay, hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, right. We sell, it's a hobby store. We sell toys and games, but also radio control cars, boats, and airplanes. Right, and a big thing to do that people like to run their RC cars around the streets and the yards and places like that.
Oh, got it. RC is radio control.
Radio
Now I
control,
got it.
yeah,
Okay.
RC,
It
radio
took me a
control,
minute. You're with
radio
it.
control. And we have a big clientele, and they're always looking for somewhere to run their cars. Most people go up to Lake Park, North Tampa. Currently, they've got a large, it's called an off-road track up there. But that's pretty far away. That's half an hour, 40 minutes to get up there, especially from, Paul Marbury area that way. And my customer told me that there was some discussion about there might be some space at the complex to do a track. What I offer you guys is not only do I sell that stuff, but I've got a guy on staff who was a very active racer. He knows how to design tracks. He knows how to run races, things like that. So if you guys were going to do something like that, we could help you design the track. We could, give you suggestions on surfaces to use, things like that. And even I talked to, my store is called Hobby Town. There's another Hobby Town that's over on Dale Mabry, who is about to move a little ways north. But I talked to the owner of that store, and he said he'd be interested too in possibly helping sponsor the trip.
Sure.
So it would help our businesses, it would help the community, it'd give people something to do. And Brad said that you were looking at a wedge shape by the BMX track.
We haven't really gotten into
You're not
deep
sure about
discussion
where?
about it.
Oh,
The
okay.
first discussions we've had were actually utilizing the BMX track itself as a possible area to
For
run
radio
RC
control?
cars.
Chip, you
Yeah,
know how many
that-
times I
that's a
thought
big-
about doing that?
That's a big track. Most of the cars we sell are called 10th scale. They're about
Yeah.
so big. It's too big for those.
Okay.
Now, we do carry these 1/5 scale cars.
Well, there is a
It's
small
almost
track
perfect.
too, right? Isn't there a smaller track
No,
over
the
there?
pump.
Or like a,
The pump track is not there right now. It's
Okay.
something that we are looking to possibly reinstall. So that might be a better area, as probably what you're referring to, that wedge that's in there. It's
There's some trees.
it's an area that has, we had a pump track in there before,
pump
which is
track?
like, it's like for really tiny guys, the smaller kids.
Oh, a
Basically,
bike
yeah, it's like a little, for the bikes. So
Okay.
when we consider redoing that, then that could be a possibility to reprogram some RC cars in there.
Sure, I think there would probably be a decent interest for it. I don't know if we can throw out in our notes or surveys or anywhere else if there's interest out there. It's probably minimal expense. I mean, it's not a big expense item. I mean, it's, not like you're having to do at the BMX park or, full bike tracks around the city and stuff like that. So I guess,
Yeah, we just have to take all of we get lots of ideas that come at us,
Sure.
that under consideration, so it's like,
Sure.
what makes sense?
all right, well, take a look at it, team, for us, and we appreciate you
Yeah,
letting us
I'd
know
love to give
about
you
it.
my card. That's
Get your
fantastic.
card to him, that way if we can take off and somewhere in the future on this, Chip will have direct contact. And of course, you can reach Chip through the City of Oldsmar's numbers, and he'll give you his card as well. That's great. Thank you, Terry, we appreciate your
appreciate
input.
the time.
I think it's a great idea, let's see if we can get everybody on board.
Glad to help.
I know my husband would enjoy it, because he's got a truck he never gets to run anymore, so, yeah, so, all right, great. Thank you very much for coming tonight, sir.
Thank you.
That would be fun to have. All right, so Chip and his team will look into that and keep us posted down the road if that's something that might be considered as one of the many ideas that comes in for our community involvement. Seeing as we have no other open forum, we will move on to agenda item number 1. Everybody should have received the minutes dated May 8th, 2023 from your packets. Has everyone had a chance to read through those?
Yes, the only thing I didn't see was about discussion about regarding the future boards, but I don't know if Kristen was going to talk about that. I saw the last council meeting, but I don't know if everyone else did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll come up, so any changes to the minutes, it was just something that wasn't,
It just wasn't on there.
it wasn't on the minutes where we discussed it, but that's because it was gonna be a separate topic, I guess.
I just included highlights from the last meeting.
Okay.
Sure.
That was just such a small
Okay,
statement. It just wasn't on
And I think it
there.
was small because we said we're gonna be updating and council's changing, we're changing everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I think that was the extent of it. All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes dated May 8th?
first motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And approval of minutes for May 8th, 2023, approved by our board. Moving on, our monthly reports, project updates, and upcoming events. Chip's big moment.
So, all right, so we're gonna bounce it around a little bit. I'm gonna give a little bit of report, Mike. And before we get started, to my left, your right, this is our new assistant director for leisure services. His name is Michael Lavery. He comes to us with lots of experience, and he's been here since the beginning of end of June, since the end of June, middle of June. So he's
that-
done a great job so far.
Excuse me, Assistant Director in Leisure Services?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Replaced Alexis Wells.
Oh, okay. Oh, Alexis left us. Okay, well, welcome anyways.
You're welcome, but
So
Alexis.
yes, Alexis has left us for greener pastures, I guess you would say. Yeah, he's
No
enjoying his
worries.
retirement.
We look forward to having Michael and working with you in the future. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go over some of the numbers that we have from our events and activities from through April, May, and June. Just going to highlight some of the events there, and then we'll pass it on to Mike and then on to John as well. So going back to April, our extravaganza event was a huge success. John and his staff did a great job with the different age groups and really laying it out in Olds Park. And our approximate attendance was about 1,500 at that event, so very successful there. We had a Sunset Sounds with Mad with Power was the band with about 175 in attendance. Eric Pavlica and Holly did Chalk the Park with about 275 in attendance. And then we had a movie in the park in April as well with Encanto, which had 150 in attendance. So those spring months are really, really popular and really, really well attended for us because of the weather's nice and everybody's looking to get outside. In May, we did Party in the Park with an estimated attendance of 400. Sonic the Hedgehog was our movie in May with about 120 in attendance. We had the Bob Seymour Adult Fishing Tournament in May with 30 registered. We had our great Memorial Day ceremony. We had about 300, probably a little bit more.
Yeah, that's always well attended.
It was a great ceremony. It's just nice to see everybody that shows up, and not everybody's under the tent. They kind of spill out onto the grass area. We had our partners there to help out as well. And then in May, summer camp started at the end of May. We had 70, we're always full. 75 is what that facility will hold, and we always have 75 registered. So they started in May and just ended last week. So I call it a marathon sprint.
Yes.
It's just, when you're a camp leader, it is just, go. So that took us into June. We had our invasive species fish roundup. We had 800 fish that were caught. Those are Mayan cichlids. They're invasive to the waters here. So what we do is we catch those and we donate them to the organic garden and then use them as fertilizer, believe it or
Sure.
not.
What does
So-
that kind of compare as far as how I mean, I assume it's overpopulated, that's why we're fishing it.
Yes. I can't.
We
if
don't
we caught
know.
800, I can't tell you how many are in those ponds. I mean,
Gotcha.
Thousands.
Exponential.
Probably, yeah.
We average about 80 to 100 fish per kid at summer
In
camp.
the camps.
Gotcha.
Times that, times 40
Yeah.
kids
Oh,
through
okay.
4 weeks, it was a lot.
Well,
Feed
it
'em
makes for a
out.
successful camp too
It
for the
was.
kids. It keeps them engaged.
We donate them
Yep.
to the alligator farm.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
we've done
That's a
that.
good
Yeah,
spot, too.
There you go.
Yep,
Feed
we've
the
done that
gators.
before too. Yep. And then in July, staff just focused on their fall planning, and John will kind of go over that with some of the events that are coming up. So I'm going to pass it on to Mike for some project updates.
Thank you, Chip. Nice to meet everybody. Glad to be here and look forward to working with you all. As Chip said, my name is Mike Lavery. So we have a number of projects going on around the city right now. Enhancements at the sports complex that have been going on for some time are kind of wrapping up. We have a new water fountain that has been ordered that we're expecting in the near future. And that will be installed. The water fountain goes at the football, soccer concession stands.
The baseball.
Oh, at the
A
baseball.
drinking fountain, not a decorative fountain. Yeah, I was too. I was like, where are we putting that? Okay.
More fountains in that area, the better.
The fencing work at baseball fields 1 and 2 and the T-ball field are completed. Baby changing stations have been installed in restrooms. Propane tank storage cages have been added outside of the concession buildings. Apparently they were storing propane tanks inside the building, which is not, is a big no-no for the fire
Yeah,
department.
not
So,
code, I don't think.
so those have been installed. Yep, Chip is going to help me out with the next one.
Okay, so that's before he was here. So we actually closed out our FERDAP grant for the sports complex renovation. It was a 2-year project, and we received our reimbursement check of $184,669 from the state for that project. That was a matching grant. So and we still have some other projects, like we mentioned, with the water fountain and some other things where we have some money left over from the project that we're filling in on.
Does that 184 go in general fund, or does it, love general fund?
Also, there is new sod on soccer, football, or the multipurpose fields, field 1. And finally, at the sports complex, we have a new scorers table that was built by our facilities crew for the football and soccer fields. Moving on, we are awaiting pricing and a quote basically for the rec center to add to get new air conditioning system for the gym.
Yes, I saw the doors were all open and many fans were going when we were there last week, yes.
Yes, which is still functional, but does need to be replaced.
That is probably one of the oldest ones. I think the others have been replaced fairly recently.
We are waiting to hear from Kiwanis about how much they're going to be able to help us fund the playground project for Mobley Bayou at the Wilderness Preserve. That's outside of the Environmental Education Center.
Awesome.
And finally, the restroom doors at RE Olds Park, Sheffield Park, Mobley Bayou, and Bicentennial Park. That purchase order has been issued, and the vendor has ordered the doors. Unfortunately, there's an 8-week lead time for them to get all the doors and
There's a
hardware and
ridiculous
everything.
price tag on those doors too, I think, if I recall seeing, yeah.
But those doors are on order, and hopefully we'll have those in soon.
Great.
That's
The-
it. That's
The
it.
playground at
Mobley.
Mobley Bayou,
Yeah, so this is the playground at Mobley Bayou Wilderness Preserve, right next to the Environmental Education Center. We have a playground project on the books for this year. We're working with Kiwanis. They've applied for a $20,000 grant. They should hear back this Friday as to whether they've received it or not.
we have
We're
a small one
confident.
there now, right?
We do,
It's
but
very
it's
small.
it's aged out. It was
It's
built
aged
in
out, so it'd be
2003.
torn out and it would be new
Yeah.
stuff going in.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to
the
find
new
out.
one, the new playground, quote-unquote playground, is more like a parkour type course, so it's going to reach the older youth and the teens. It's more like a challenge course, not necessarily a ninja course, but it's more of a, it's certainly an active challenge, with cargo nets and elevated panels. So
Okay.
that's going to be nice. It'll complement the zip line area that's right there as well.
Well, sure.
I think it's
know-
great because
Yeah. and
most
I
of the
know-
playgrounds are like 12 and under, so
Right.
there needs to be
Right.
something
And
for
I
that
know in the
age.
past that it's come through our board to help
Right.
decide on those and stuff. This one I don't think came through, but
No,
I'm
this one
looking
didn't come
forward to
through.
Updating that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
all right.
So, all right, Mr. John Lindsay.
I got a question for Chip, if I might.
Yep.
Hey, Chip, when you take the old equipment out, what happens to the old equipment?
It's disposed of. It's basically we're replacing it because it's old and it's not. It's going to be.
It's not
gonna be in
safe
shape
to
now.
use
Right, we
somewhere
can't
else, or-
reuse it. Correct. Because then we'd just be keeping that same problem. That's why we're replacing them.
There was actually one time I was out there and Alexa was looking at stuff and my kids and I were helping him.
Okay, are we still
Nope, nope.
continuing with the
We're moving
monthly
on
reports?
we're moving on to event updates.
Moving on to me. I didn't feel like sitting down, so I'm standing up. John
That's
Lindsay.
okay.
I am your
So
leisure
project
services.
updates is what we're on
We
to,
are,
right?
we are on event updates right now.
Event updates.
We are just below project updates. So we've been planning the fall and the winter events. And we're really happy with what we got coming up. This is our big time of the year for recreation. This is when my staff really kind of shines. So
Who doesn't get to sleep
I
much?
thought it was
Yeah.
summer.
What's that?
I thought it was summer camp.
No, summer, no, I gave them exactly a day and a half off after summer.
Yeah.
And they had to work during that day and a half.
Yes,
so.
of course.
But no, so we basically we're just gonna go over the events we have coming up. Now, this weekend, we have, Miss Sudis got her recital this weekend over at RE Olds Park, weather permitting. If not, we're gonna try to move it inside if we can. It's gonna be outside, I'm confident. So
We're confident.
We're
But
good.
that's why we do a rain backup, because if
good.
we do it completely, then we
Yeah.
won't need it.
We're outside.
Yes.
We got Moving the Park coming up in September. Family Game Night, which is always real popular. Eric Pavlica does a really good job of planning that, lots of inflatables, and that's just growing exponentially as we've been doing it. Halloween Haunted Happenings, again, something that's just growing exponentially. We're going to have it at REO's Park. Last year we got rained out. We're still a little
Michael
bitter.
Jackson's
We're still a little bitter about last
Thriller in the
Halloween.
rain, so we're hoping no
So-
rain this time.
This Halloween we'll have an edge. We'll be a little pissy, and we'll get it in.
Is that the 29th?
That is the 27th.
27th, thank
Yeah.
you.
And then Veterans Day on 11/11, again, something that the city takes a lot of pride in, Memorial Day and our Veterans Day celebrations. Tree lighting on November 28th.
Goodness gracious.
We've got
we're into that
Oldsmar
already,
Elementary
aren't we?
coming out to sing some tunes. That'll be fun. Breakfast with Santa on December 9th, and then we've got the golf cart parade on the evening of December 9th. This year, a little twist, we're going to actually have a bike parade as well. So we're going to partner up with our friends at Bike Sport.
Oh, good.
And
That'll be
we're
fun.
going to implement a bicycle ride as well as the golf cart.
That'll be
And
fun.
that should be interesting, and we're looking forward to that.
Great. And Winter Wonderland, is it?
Winter Wonderland is the second. And again, we've got.
Second?
The 2nd of December,
Isn't that a Saturday?
and that's a
First
Friday.
Should be the first.
I think
by
it's
your
the first,
standard
yeah, I think this
schedule.
is the,
No, that's my birthday.
Well, that's why we're doing it.
So are you switching it to Saturday?
No, it's gonna be the 1st.
That's the first, okay.
That's
'cause
my daughter's
I've got on the
birthday.
schedule. Miss
It's-
Suda's
it's-
Dancers also
It's something
opens
for
that
Amber
up.
to get excited about the next day for.
Right, right. Miss Suda's Dancers.
It's a
Might be my
pre-Amber
big
party,
4-0.
is what we're gonna do.
Might be.
I haven't been 40
And
for
what
18
are your
years.
hours for that, for the December 1st? We switched it from 5 to 9, but then I saw notices it was back at 6 to 9, so.
No, I think still gonna be 6 to 9, but I think you're gonna have a performance at 5 o'clock. So
Right,
we're
our
probably gonna-
performance is at
And
5.
we'll promote that as well.
Okay, thank you.
But the actual event itself starts at.
Yeah, it was always 6 to 9, then we worked it a little bit, a couple of years, 5 to 9, since we were opening it up,
Yeah.
and
What we'll
whatever
do
works.
is, and we did this last year, we just did a passive opening. We weren't hard at 6. We would just let
Sure.
people walk in at 5 o'clock or before that. So
Gotcha, perfect, thank you.
they get there early, so we're not worried about the crowd. We have the carolers that are gonna be there. We have Countryside High School, which will be there, and I believe Forest Lakes Elementary is gonna be there as well.
And anybody wants to dress up as old-time carolers, we take all calling coming to join us. Miss Jody directs us, and we dress up in 1800s costumes. So, anybody like to join us, please contact me.
Do we have to sing? Because I can't sing.
Well, you have to lip sync. You'd have to lip sync at least. We will require you to lip sync at least.
That's all I got, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Great events coming up. Celebrate Oldsmar, what weekend are we on that?
17th and 18th of
I know we're gonna be
November.
talking about it in just a minute, but that's an event we'll be involved in, so. I know that's the Chamber's event. Okay. And that took care of number 2, monthly reports, project updates, and upcoming events. Leisure Services Learning Moment, I guess we are on next.
Okay, so we kind of bounce around a lot when we do the Leisure Services Learning Moment. One of the divisions that I want to kind of talk about is our Facility Maintenance Division. Even though we're Leisure Services, the Facility Maintenance Division does fall under our department. So, in an effort to make sure that things stay up and running and be like a well-oiled machine, and make sure that we try to stay ahead of the game, they perform weekly and monthly activities, and I'm just going to kind of go over a couple of things that they do so that you guys have an idea of what they actually perform for the city. So weekly, you're familiar with the Town Center fountain that's over here at St. Pete Drive in
That sometimes gets
Tampa Road.
sudsed.
Sudsed, yeah. So they perform weekly maintenance on that, cleaning it, making sure that and you do have to maintain it with chlorine and everything so it doesn't get green. So they maintain that fountain weekly, and another weekly function that they perform is the marquee signs that you see around the city. They go around and they update the marquee signs, the letters, and we kind of take a look at what events and activities are coming up, and we kind of decide, okay, what's going up, and then they'll go ahead and make those changes on a weekly basis. Monthly, they perform HVAC maintenance on all of our buildings. That includes changing filters, cleaning drain lines, checking belts, coils, and blowers. They perform bathroom maintenance in the parks and in our buildings, which includes, visual inspections, minor repairs, floor drain maintenance. They also we have 14 generators in the city, and they do inspections every month on our generators throughout the city. They also handle work orders as they come in. They completed 1,153 work orders throughout the year last year. And that could be from, building a desk, hanging pictures, fixing or repairing an AC unit, roofing stuff. So they have a wide range of what they perform for the city. And we have a very skilled staff. So we're lucky to have the guys that we have in that division, very knowledgeable, and they help to save us money in the long run for sure. They also perform monthly light timer inspections. So when we get to different times of the year with sunset, they'll go ahead and they'll change the timers and make sure that we have
Yeah,
light
the
for our
tennis
courts and
courts
stuff like that, and and parking lots, things like that. And like I said, their work orders are painting, electrical, carpentry, HVAC, plumbing, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I just wanted to. Sometimes they're not recognized for what they do, so I wanted to make sure that I brought it to you guys and said, hey, this is what they do, and they do a lot of work day in and day out. So all
We
around.
do have some staff that's been on for a lot of years
Yeah,
in that group
yeah,
as
yeah,
well,
we do.
too.
We have some longevity in that division
Yeah.
for sure. So
I saw they painted the shed.
painted the sheds. Yep.
Pretty color.
So that's it for the Leisure Service Learning Moment for this evening.
All righty. Any questions from our board? Seeing as we have no questions, we will go on to the Celebrate Oldsmar schedule.
All right, so last time at our meeting, we had discussed the Leisure Service Advisory Board attending Celebrate Oldsmar for a set amount of time so that you could help promote programs, promote the board, promote the city, promote our programs, things like that,
Feedback
along
from the
with an
community,
instructor.
et
So
cetera.
we're looking to have instructors paired up as well. I'm not sure how you want to do it, but I do have a spreadsheet here which has 9 slots in it. What we're looking for is one person per slot, and it's for a 2-hour shift, not too bad. Friday from 4 to 6, 6 to 8, or 8 to 10. The first two would be either set up, or the first one would be either set up, and the last one help with cleanup. And then you've got Saturday, 10 to 12, 12 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. So what I can do is, if you want, I can just pass it around. You
Yeah,
guys
I
can-
recommended we do this way, guys, because last time they sent notices, but the notices and email kind of looked like they were directed to the subcontractors. So I recommended to Chip, I said, no, you want to get people to sign up, you need to just come with a sheet. Now, I have also, after speaking with Chip, and we did this last time, so we could help cover for Dave, we've requested Friends of the Arts and City be right next to each other. That way, if there's any time slots that aren't covered, or Dave is by himself and needs to step out, I am there 90% of the weekend, so I will sign up last and cover any areas that aren't filled. But if you guys could go ahead and then the only thing I would suggest, which way you want to go? We'll go this way. The ladies are holding their hands out, so I'll go that way first.
Can I hold off? I have a tentative trip the 16th through the 19th of November, but it's not set in
So-
stone yet.
Yeah, so hold off for now. And then Chip, once we get this kind of filled in, a quick email reminding them is the only other step that helps.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, we've got you scheduled from 2 to 4 p.m. today or this weekend or, the week of, that helps remind us. So
So once I know if I have my trip or not confirmed, who do I go to?
You can just email me.
Yeah, okay.
I'll check.
Or,
Yep.
yeah.
Did you
email
want to
me.
look for a time slot just so you know what the breakdown is if you do it?
I mean,
He'll
if
tell
I
you what's-
don't make the trip, I'll be pretty open.
He'll tell you what's open at that point, okay? And like I said, I'm going to put my name on last because I'm running the Friends of the Arts booth
It's a
as well.
puzzle. These two.
Terry, you'll find out real quick, I wear a lot of hats if you haven't already learned.
What about second Fridays? We had talked about that as a possibility.
Yeah, I think second Fridays are maybe going away in the future.
We don't have any, there is no schedule right now for second Fridays.
Okay.
Yeah, I already, Oldsmar Friends of the Arts is always there. We always put out the City of Oldsmar magazines, and we are also always there to pass the
Right.
word about any of the city programs. So at least we have a representation, Adam, for the city. I think if they get past these changes, and can continue to grow it, I think it would be something we should look at in the future. But I think things are changing with the finances and everything that happened at the recent meetings. And so they may be doing more like a specialized event once or twice or 4 times a year type of thing is what I've heard through the grapevine at this point. So let's let them it's technically Chamber's event, so we'll let them kind of get their feet wet and figure out where they want to be. For anybody that has not worked a booth, it's easy. Just smile and wave, hand them brochures. The biggest key about working at a booth in an event is if you just sit behind the table, you won't get anybody to come up. Dave last time, I think, had some candy or something to give away. That brings them up to the table. The way we do it with Oldsmar Friends of the Arts is we use the free beads, and we actually stand out in front of the table.
Yes, we had
That's right.
plenty
You
of
had some
candy left
Halloween
over.
candy left over. That was a good
sure.
thing, too.
Candy.
Are we allowed to put like, lollipops, the round pop?
Yes, I would think so. Anybody that wants to bring some stuff?
I had bought a lot of those for the Rotary when we had our tent out there, and it brought a lot of kids around, kids come up to
Yeah,
them.
you gotta
Parents
bring
come.
the kids up first, and that'll bring the parents.
Yeah.
So if you've got a whole lot of lollipops, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Dave gonna be setting up that booth and everything, or?
We have not discussed that yet.
Okay. And because some of these events are getting regular, I know one of the things you're in discussion of is like what we've done. We've made 3 bins, for example, and they have all of our flyers, they have all of our tablecloths, they have all of our paperweights, all of the things you need to be able to handle any event. And of course, Dave ran the last one, so I know he knows what he's up against, but bug spray, just, they're real simple things. If you just put them in a bin, you got everything there, and it works out real good. So I appreciate everybody pitching in. I think this is a great outreach to the community. We used to have a city table at most of the events, back in, well, we're going way back, Chris Steiner's time. So probably none of you even know her name, so that's how far back she was she was in Dave and Bryn's place in previous years. Whatever title that is that they're in, okay? And I think it's always been very successful. I would love to see our subcontractors start coming to these too, so,
That'll be, we'll work on that after we have you guys. John's gonna get together with Dave and see who we can recruit.
right, right. Do the same thing, give them a list, hey, we've got room for you to join us, or get them their flyers and that type of thing, so.
Is there a cost to have a tent out there for Saturday night? Or,
I'm sure there's something because it's run through the chamber.
Yeah,
and,
there is a cost if
I
you're a
don't know off the top of
non-chamber
my head what that
member,
is.
but a 501c3 or a chamber member, I believe there's no charge. But you'll have to check with the chamber on the, and it's minimal, it's not ridiculous. You're not paying $150, I don't think, to be out there.
yeah, I'd like to get the Rotary members out there, have our tent out there if that's,
Okay, yeah, we can get you in touch with Mark Howe.
Yeah, call Mark or Joe at the chamber, or they'll get you the contacts for it. That would be great. Celebrate Oldsmar sees something like, anybody know the numbers? Am I right to say 6,000 to 8,000 come out?
Over
for-
the course, yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, over the course of
Yeah,
the weekend.
yeah, so it's a good outreach opportunity. And usually wherever you are in a booth, you get a great seat to listen to the music all weekend. Do we have fireworks
That's on the schedule.
on the schedule, which is for Saturday night?
Yes.
So Saturday night will be the quieter night from that firework time as far as on that list. But again, if you sign up for that time, then you get a great view for the fireworks. So there's a lot of good assets around. I want to thank everybody for trying to pitch in and be there to talk to the community and spread the word, get some feedback on our parks or whatever, and our programs. And I think this is really great that we're coming together to do this type of thing. So thank you, everyone, for.
The good thing is we meet again right before this at our monthly
Good.
meeting.
Oh, okay, is there a meeting right before?
Yeah.
That week?
Right.
Perfect, so that can be our reminders. You won't even have to email, those will be our reminders, that's great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for jumping into that. Let's see how this one goes. And also, let us know your feedback at the meeting after the Celebrate Oldsmar and how you felt it went, things we could do better, and that type of thing. So remember to keep those things in mind for us as well. Are we moving on to park user survey?
Okay.
All
We'll
right.
just keep on rolling. All right, so Joe, we had an opportunity to meet with Joe to help develop a park user survey. What we're trying to do is get an idea of who uses our park, what do they come to the park for, how long do they spend how much time do they spend when they're there. So utilizing some structure from National Recreation and Park Association, we kind of came up with, I think we got 9 or 10 questions. I wanted to pass them out to you guys so you can see
Okay.
where we are, what we came up with, and if they look good to you, then what the plan would be is to get them up on our social media sites, our website, and then also what we'll do is when we come back to the next meeting in November is to create another calendar for some park intercept surveys.
Okay.
Like you did last time with the recreational survey.
And is there any surveys you want us to circulate on Celebrate Oldsmar?
And then, exactly, because when we come there, you already have this, we'll have this by the time Celebrate Oldsmar comes. I was going to kind of tie into that when you were talking about it. But
Perfect.
yeah, we'll have it during Celebrate Oldsmar. And then, because the idea is to do it when people are outside. And that's going to be our fall, winter season. So we should
Right.
get a good sense of feedback.
Great, and we want to thank Joe and Chip working together, but Joe is our liaison from our group, getting with Chip to come up with some questions. And Chip, it sounds like you found some nice guidance from other areas to be able to give us some direction. The internet these days is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
thank you.
When was the last time you visited an Oldsmar Park during the past year? I think that's good. How do you travel to Oldsmar Parks? Yeah, walk, bike, okay, that's good. How much time do you typically spend in an Oldsmar Park during your visit? What's the key reason you visit an Oldsmar Park? What are your favorite recreational activities? Playport, yeah, I like that. What barriers prevent you from greater enjoyment of Oldsmar Parks and recreation facilities? Oh, okay, I see where that's going. Cost, fees, time, all right. How safe do you feel walking to an Oldsmar Park? I think that's good. If you answered not safe, walking to an Oldsmar Park, what's the reason? And then they can fill in the blank, right?
Correct.
And then they're going to be supplying their age, gender, number of family members, and whether they're a resident of Oldsmar.
So we feel this will give us a nice little snapshot. It's quick, it's easy. So any comments or
Yeah.
feedback are welcome.
No, I think it gets you a general idea of who's going and how they're getting there, just
And that's the goal of this, is to find
Yes.
out who's visiting.
we had thoughts
Right.
of even going out to outside of the park, right? We were talking about that?
We talked about going outside of the park,
Yeah.
some other locations. It's
See,
gonna, we want to really try to focus on residents, because, if you get to, say you go to AMC or something like that, then you're going to be drawing people from outside of Oldsmar itself, so it might skew, or you're just not going to get the data that you're looking for. So,
Well, it is always interesting to see how many outsiders use our parks, for example, the beach area.
right.
We get a lot of outsiders that use the beach area. And maybe down the road or something, being able to get feedback from people outside of our area, I think is always good. But I think what you guys have done here for a basic is great to kind of get some feedback. Let's,
Right, now, that's not to say that somebody who is at Orioles Park isn't coming from West Chase, and they can still fill out the survey. It's
and
just-
at Celebrate Oldsmar,
Celebrate
you ask
Oldsmar,
them
you'll
if they
have
live at
people-
Oldsmar,
right,
and they say no,
right.
and you say, well, do you use the parks? And they go, well, yeah. Then we can get them to
Correct.
get some input from
Correct.
elsewhere, and it'll state on the back whether they're a resident of Oldsmar or not.
Right.
I think that'll be great.
And then you have your seasonal visitors, snowbirds.
Sure.
And that's
Right.
why,
Moms shall
again,
come.
that winter time is a good time to try to capture the full picture.
All right, would you like me to formalize this?
I have a suggestion. On the fifth one, can we add paddle? Because I feel like we have so many
Yeah, good point.
paddle trails. But we're not emphasizing them in the
Yes,
questions.
let's see, run, jog. So what we can do is, maybe we'll put something,
Kayak,
water
canoe,
activities,
yeah.
water-based
Water
activities.
activity, yeah, something.
Fishing, boating.
Yeah, I like that.
Swing, okay.
Yeah, because you do have a number of docks too that people use
yeah.
as well, yeah. Okay, good suggestion. Anybody else see anything else they would like to see added or adjusted? We don't have the slot for how many hours do I typically spend at an Oldsmar Park? 25 on a weekend event? Great job, guys.
right.
Any other changes? No? We'll make this official by asking if I have a motion to approve the list. Do we have a second? All of
Second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great job, gentlemen. Thank you for your work. So our questions for our survey is approved, and Chip will keep us apprised on when we get it up on social media and how to use it at our upcoming events as well. Clipboards with a bunch of them on them will be great.
I'm thinking because we're going to have it linked electronically, so I'm thinking we do the QR code
QR
scan again, like
QR
we did
code?
with the recreational survey, which seemed to work fine.
Sure.
You guys don't have to carry a bunch of materials with you. We don't have to go in and relog the information. It's just going straight from the smartphone into our
Okay,
database.
gotcha. All right, all
Yeah.
right. That seemed to work pretty well for the last one, right?
That worked out
Okay, all right, good. All right, thank you. That concludes our park user survey. Moving on to new business, number 6.
I have some. It's not new business. It was from our previous meeting about the signs for the park. The different playground naming areas. I was just gonna. Karen Beal from our staff kind of came up with some designs. Wanted
Oh,
to just
great.
throw them out
Good.
to you guys, see what you think about them. If you're like, yeah, that's good, then we'll go ahead and run with them, get the signs made and installed. If you're like, had a different idea, then that's fine too. So.
All right. Got packets for each of us? Oh, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Chip, while you're doing that, I have a quick question I meant to ask before.
We can share.
The last event that we did at Orioles Park, how did the feedback go for the parking situation?
So cute.
I like the jungle gym, that's cute, yeah.
Good for Peter Pan.
Closed or?
Next one.
Pirate playground. And the tot spot, that's cute.
There's a couple different ones on the tot spot. So Karen did 2 different ones. One with a train and one with the
I like the
curb
train.
dash.
I love the car because it's our figure, but I think the train will attract
Train
the
is more
kids.
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think that's
So if you're
good.
good with those, we'll go ahead and we'll do the train and we'll get those created and made and we'll get those installed.
All right, anybody have any other changes?
No, I think that's great.
They're very good. Tell them
Okay.
you love it.
So we'll make it official by, we approve the jungle gym, the pirate ship, and the train tot spot.
Okay?
All of those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Trying to do things official and formal. I don't think you always need it, but it's good practice for me.
Can we make sure we keep the sloth on that one?
Yeah?
Yes,
My son will really like
I love the sloth. I love the sloth.
it. Like, look what daddy did, you know?
How are you gonna produce those? They're gonna be print, some type of print attached to a sign?
Metal
or-
sign, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, very nice. Is that something you can do in-house, or do you have to go out? You
I
got
believe we
that
can do it in-house.
Okay, great, great.
Actually, if you could throw a flamingo in there too, you'd really be setting points for me.
Oh,
Then my
So,
daughter
yeah.
would like it too, you know? I'd be like, not trying to pull strings or nothing.
Yeah, I think it's great. All right, thank you. Good job, guys, and tell Karen, good job from us. She's always creative. We appreciate her input on anything.
Yes.
And any other new business?
I had a note, or
Yes.
a few things. So January 18th, I will, and as we get closer to January, I know we're a little while out, I will send some reminders. We're gonna be hosting a sunshine in the evening class for all of our board members to attend. It's optional attendance, but that will be on sunshine law for our boards. It'll be we'll have some snacks there for everyone, and an attorney from our city attorney's office will be teaching it.
Nice. What night is that? What day?
January
But
18th,
what's the,
Thursday.
He's
that
like, "Oh, no."
Thursday. It should be at 6 p.m. here.
I will be teaching dance, so unfortunately, count me out unless I can get somebody to take my classes that night. I would like to attend. I'll
Okay,
see if
that
I can
is
get
a
Zach to
Thursday.
take my
Let's
classes
say,
that
see
night or
if Zach's
something.
available.
Yeah, I'll have to see if Zach's available to take my class that night so I could attend. I'm always out Wednesday and Thursday nights for dance, and Monday for theater, and Saturday mornings for theater, and yeah. And I work in there 5 other jobs somewhere along the line, so. Great. Any other new business for us at this time?
I do.
Good,
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
Go ahead,
And then I have
Kristen.
Oh, yes,
one
Kristen
more
had a couple
item.
things, sorry.
So we already mentioned Kyle had resigned, and then, on board appointments, I was gonna bring it up
Okay.
at the end of the meeting, was just that council has voted to add it on the agenda for September 20th. They will be having a discussion at their council meeting on board appointment procedures. So we will have an update after that. So that'll be the September 20th council meeting.
Is it that's a Wednesday. Are they moving it to Wednesday that day?
That day has to be Wednesday because it's the approval of the budget.
Okay.
So it had to be moved, where there was no other county meetings.
Okay. I was just making sure.
That's why.
So that means we will not be appointing a new board member until
After that.
our November meeting, I guess, then?
Yes, most likely.
Approve first.
But we do have 2 alternates right now, so we are,
We can move
Can
one
we
out.
approve to move, or can we discuss and/or approve or consider to move one of our alternates up to the open position, or we are not at that point yet?
I think Kristen said so, because she said that he could vote, right? If we're
yeah,
voting.
he can, because we have a vacancy, Steven or Dave can vote at the meetings.
Okay, but who was the first one in? Any chance you know that?
Stephen was the first.
Stephen was first in?
That's why I'm including his vote on the motions tonight.
Can we recommend or vote on moving him up into the vacancy? Because that is the plan. That's why we have alternates, is to move them into the vacancies. There's no new people coming in that we have to, review, which is what council's reviewing the process on. So is there anything wrong with us considering moving somebody into that vacant position at this meeting?
Well, Steven, I can ask him, do you want to become a regular member?
Only if I get a shirt like Sharon has or like he has.
Can we give the man a shirt?
Yes.
So he accepts our
long, though.
nomination to move him up, so we would make it official then?
Or do you need to wait till, see what they say?
Wasn't that the whole point of having an alternate?
Yeah, that was our goal.
Move
That was
into
our
the
goal.
position when
If
is that?
Steven would like to apply, I mean, we can put it on a council meeting.
Okay, but we don't have to apply it. We just go ahead and approve him here to move up the alternate into the open board position.
Maybe she's thinking he does have to apply. I don't know. Are you thinking?
I think
Sorry,
it's
I'm
'cause it's a
catching
new
you.
process.
Sorry, I'm catching you off guard, sweetie.
And that's part of the old process, I
Tried
think.
and done that process. The boards or the council's already approved us to be an alternate, which I would assume would mean that we'd be approved
automatically.
Check though?
Well, every appointment goes to council, so he's not, so if Stephen goes to council, he will then be approved. He's not approved yet to be a regular member.
Okay.
Every appointment's held on its own.
Please do.
Go to count.
We have a motion on the floor. Would you repeat it again, please?
Motion to have him approved by council to be on the.
To
leisure
move up to a
services.
full
Yeah.
board position. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, right?
All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we'll work on that shirt. And Kristen, you can let us know if our procedure has to be changed, but
Yeah,
I
because they
think-
might decline
We'll
it
know more
anyway.
after the 20th meeting, of
Right.
when council would like to go to
but
appointments.
this way you can go ahead and schedule him somewhere into the council meetings to be approved to move up from the alternate to the regular position. And then we'll have an alternate open that once they decide in November and we meet in February or something like
February,
that. Then we can have that process solidified so we know how to fill the alternate position. So Kristen, just keep us posted. I think we're doing the right thing. That's what we did the alternates for, so that we would not have to have open gaps at the next meeting. But you can let us know if there's anything that has to be changed. Otherwise, I would
Okay.
hope that he can already be put into
I
council's.
haven't done anything bad since the last time they approved me.
We're gonna
Since
find
last
out.
time.
We're gonna find out.
They're gonna run full background checks on you, baby. And so
Do
just
two dances.
see if it's something that we can move forward with, and if you can work it into council's schedule over the next couple of months. So when we come back in February, we will have a full board, and then we can address the issue of the vacancy in the alternates. Thank you very much. We'll move you guys all up into our board eventually. We appreciate the alternates being here. Anything else, Kristen? It's Kristen, right? I'm pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, you got it right.
Thank you.
That was the three things I had.
And Chip had something.
And then we go back to Chip for us.
all right, so-
Because he knows I'm going to be asking him questions if he doesn't cover it.
No, that'll be, that's the last one I have on here. That's the last one. So I just wanted to bring the board up to speed. If you watched the budget meeting, you've heard that we are looking at a name change from Leisure Services to Parks and Recreation.
Back to.
I should say back to, okay? So along with the changes in our city logo and the recent job positions studies that were conducted, in our upcoming budget year, if approved, there'll be a few name changes to some departments, and one was ours, as I had mentioned. Why? Well, the name's more consistent with who we are and aligns with the industry standards that you see around. For example, our professional organization is the Florida Recreation and Park Association. It's also more consistent with the other cities in Pinellas County. Out of the 15 cities that offer recreation services in Pinellas County, 12 have departments with Parks and Recreation in their name. So, Parks and Recreation is inclusive of diverse components: nature, performing arts, fitness, athletics, and other specialties. So, it's more descriptive of what we do, and we're excited about the name change going forward. It's been who we are. And we will continue to have the facility maintenance division under Parks and Recreation, which is no big deal there. If the name change is approved by City Council, a resolution would follow to change the name of the Leisure Services Advisory Board to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. So I just wanted to provide that update to you guys.
Well, any new shirts?
I was about to
Yeah.
say,
Don't buy shirts yet.
First of all, I appreciate the information. It sounds exactly like what we were told when we went from Parks and Rec to Leisure Services. And the goal of Leisure Services was also to have the option to incorporate arts, performing arts, et cetera. And as we had previously talked, that was what some of the other cities had done. Of those 12 cities that have Parks and Recreation, is their arts also encompassed under that, or is it under a different name totally?
The only one that I have knowledge of in the research from where I work before is Recreation, Parks, and Arts, and that's the city of Largo. That's the only
Okay,
one
so-
that has
but
arts.
they included the name arts in
And
there
they have a
too, didn't they?
large cultural performing arts center there.
Of course, and we're not there yet. I get it, I get it. But that was my only thing, is I felt like I was listening to the same speech. For me personally, it just costs us money to change the name. It costs money in shirts, it costs money in business cards, it costs money in website designs, it costs money. So I don't see personally a great advantage going back to a name that we used to have. But I understand that's up to council, and you guys have looked at the options out there. I think it tunes a little bit in too much just to Parks and Rec. So I personally had liked the change to leisure services, but I serve under whatever name you guys choose to call us. But it will cost the city money to change the name again.
Well, the good thing with the timing is with our new city branding, is that a lot of that stuff is changing already. So taking advantage of the new branding allows us to make that change one time.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, well, it is what it is. Like I said, I will serve under whatever name you guys tell us we need to be under.
Okay, fair enough.
And any other?
Yeah, the last thing I have is the last time you would, where we had talked before about an update on the theater, and just to put everybody, to give everybody the heads up where we are right now.
Are you guys all familiar about the theater we're talking about?
So for the proposed
I
theater.
don't think they all
oh,
are, just a
Black
second.
box?
Yeah, I'm not familiar. with it.
Originally, the property on the corner of State Street and
That St. Pete Drive.
And
by
St.
the
Pete
By the
Drive.
library.
had next to the library, had a townhome plus theater package. Originally sold to council, not sold, presented to council as a entire package. I have heard since then that the theater has been separated, which I understand. If they're selling the property, this theater is not part of it. And I've asked Chip to give us an update on what's happening with the theater, as well as if you've got any information on that sale of that property.
I don't have any information on the sale of the property, but from a theater perspective, right now, there's no funding in place to build a theater, and it's contingent on conducting a feasibility study. So right now, there's a proposed allocation in the 25-26 annual budget for a feasibility study, which will help identify the viability of a potential theater. Prior to that, we need to conduct an analysis to get feedback from all the stakeholders. And we conduct some kind of market research to determine the demand. Again, we're talking, towards 25, 26. We want to find out things like what kind of theater. Is it a platform stage, a black box, theater in the round? What size? Right now it's early. The budget is fluid. It's 3 years out for the feasibility study. So, that's about as concrete as I can get right now on it.
Okay. Be aware, we have done feasibility studies that we paid upwards to the amount of $10,000 outside to be, that's again, just more money that goes out of city's pockets when we do these. I understand that they need to do it because it's part of the process. I also understood the way it was originally proposed, that by the sale of the property was to pay for the theater so that it did not need to be included in the budget. So that has obviously changed as well.
The theater does not appear in the capital budget at this point.
I know, but
just the
it was the
feasibility
sale
study.
of the property, the profit that they were making on the sale of the property. When it was proposed, if I'm correct, I could be incorrect, but I understood that that profit was hopefully going to pay for the theater. And it sounds like now that they've been separated, it's all back to square one and no theater for the city of Oldsmar for a while. Saddened.
You mentioned the market study. How does that work?
They pay somebody a lot of money that goes out and does it, that doesn't live in Oldsmar and has nothing to do with our community, but follows the books on how the market study is supposed to be done.
So it just, it kind of determines the feasibility of what can we afford? Or is there a need? Is the market going to support the operations of theater, and what kind of theater, what size theater, that kind of stuff?
And understand, we've done all of this already 10 years ago,
But
and it never went.
so that it's not viable, that proposal or study or whatever.
I watched how the proposal and everything went. Like I said, personally, it was done by people that had nothing to do with our community. It was comparing our community to a lot of other communities that were in our size or anything else, a lot of other larger facilities. And I personally felt it was a waste of 10 grand, but I'm also thinking it was wasted because it didn't solve anything. It just said, no, you know. And they were also looking at building like a 500-seat theater, which we don't need, you know.
What would be your idea?
Weren't you
of,
going for like 200?
We said 200 seats, 2 to 250.
The
would be
reason
great.
why I asked the question is because as a event production standpoint, I do a lot of Hispanic events and I get called a lot to bring artists, and there's not a lot of theaters other than the Strats, or when it's a smaller artist, the Scottish Center.
Right.
And that's horrible, like, place to bring them. So because I'm so involved with the Hispanic community, they might be, a good, and I'm saying this from a market research, somebody that's in the business, just the Hispanic community alone might take advantage of having a theater if it's within the right, forms that could bring
Yeah,
money
no,
to the city.
I agree. I think there's a lot of need for it out there. Like I said, when I watched them do and I read the reports, I still have it probably, on when they did the feasibility study 10, 12 years ago. It was not geared at all towards our town. It was comparing us to Largo's Center, Dunedin's Center, showing the numbers and everything else. But what my disappointment is that theater should not have to have a budget. It was hopefully, as it was presented as ideal, was supposed to come out of the sale of the property. And that's obviously off the board. They've separated away from the sale of the property. I thought we were 3 to 5 years away, and we are back with, I don't think, any hope of having a theater again for a while. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. I do know the feasibility studies, when it was done 10, 12 years ago, was about 10 grand. My disappointment at that time was, like I said, it was people that had nothing to do with our community. How can you judge our community and what we need if you don't live here? If you don't use the facilities here? If you're just comparing numbers on a book? So I'll keep my fingers crossed. It's costing the theater $3 grand just to rent lights and sound for RE Olds Park. And, it's, our hopes was to eventually see a formal theater go in where that stuff wouldn't have to be rented. And we did know that it was only the building that was supposed to be paid for. Of course, we had to look at how to do the stage and what was the interior and the lights and sound and everything else. And that was the original city cost. So it looks like that's entirely off the board at this time, and we are back at square one. Not much that we can do except for keep reminding people like Chip and them that, there are people that do have an interest. Unfortunately, the feasibility studies don't always get around to us.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, obviously, there's no answers being come up right now, right? But, like, if what you're saying is correct, and I'm sure it is that they had it kind of packaged in with the sale of the property, then they already saw there was a feasibility to have it, right? Like they were going to take a profit and put it toward it, right? And now we're kicked back 2 years to do a study. It just, like, I don't know, it just doesn't make much sense.
Like I said, it's disappointing to me.
You know what I mean? Like it does seem like in city's defense and our defense of that is that we're just kicking this down the road to just not do it. It's like it was a thing. It's like, hey, look, and now it's like, we're really not going to do that. I hope the feasibility study goes well and it works out to our benefit. But we put on productions for these kids frequently, and as you said, it costs how much for lights? Every time.
Yeah, $6 grand a year just in lights and sound. Yeah.
Just for that, and and just to have that in the community to be used for even like Tatiana was saying, to have artists come in and perform like you could get so much multi-use out of a theater that it just kind of.
And
it's kind of upsetting that you got to go ahead and go backwards and then do a feasibility study again when you already threw in there to the public that, hey, we're gonna do this, and now we're gonna wait till 25.
Yeah. The feasibility studies are more about what the other communities are doing and whether or not it will make a profit. As a person who has never made a profit in the arts and does it for our community and for our kids, a theater is not about profit. Yes, you have to pay the bills, but I also was on the group that ran the arts for the city of Oldsmar for one solid year at $90,000, and we produced 50 different events or activities or classes per year for that $90,000, and of course did them with what we had to work with. So, there has been interest. I wish the feasibility study could extend past just the fact of what does our neighbors have and how much money are they making, which is typically where the feasibility study goes. I get it, you got to cover the cost. That's why we thought the sale of the property would cover the cost of the building, and that was what was so beautiful about that situation. But it sounds like currently the profit from the property will go into general fund, which I always love because nobody gets to use general fund.
Has the property been sold? That you're
I
speaking?
think it's still under negotiations,
It's
isn't
under-
it?
right.
All I saw
Okay.
I saw some posts going out there. There's some posts out next door to Tico Hall. We don't know if it's been sold yet or not.
I don't have that answer.
Could you check into that for us and find out if they've at least decided to move forward or if that's been stalled entirely? And I don't know that there's anything we can do as a board beyond, saying that it's disappointing that it was a package deal, now it's not, and now we're back at square one again. So I'll just continue to say my prayers. I will probably be in a wheelchair by the time the city of Oldsmar gets a small theater, which has been on the books. I have been on this path probably a good 30 years now with the
Oh,
city
my
of Oldsmar.
goodness. Okay.
That kind of shows you why you're hearing my frustration. We've been there before. We've done the feasibility studies. We were close to doing it. It didn't happen. We did it again. We didn't get there. I was really hoping this one would do it because the sale of the property could cover the cost of the
Like
building.
it tied in.
Yeah, so, keep us updated on the sale of the property, Chip. Keep us updated, I guess, on the question of what's happening with the profit of the sale of the property and why it's not being considered to go towards that type of facility. And I do understand that we have to do a feasibility study. Beyond that, we have a gymnasium that you can rent. Which I quit doing my shows in 5 years ago. So we'll say our prayers for our community. Thank you, Chip, for checking into that. I was afraid that was probably the answers. And because I've been on this path personally myself so long, it's been very disappointing. If I had any money, I would die and donate my money to build a theater. That's been a joke for over 20 years. So unfortunately, 20 years ago I had money and now I don't. So I won't be able to help it. Friends of the Arts has already been willing and has already shared with Felicia and staff that they would be more than willing to help raise money for, say, the chairs or something inside the building. And we talked about what type of facility and things like that were needed. So please do what you can, Chip, to help keep us bugging them about it, all right? And I will continue to say my prayers, that we don't just keep throwing good money after bad, because by this time, the amount of money that Friends of the Arts has put into lights and sound, we could have bought our own equipment if we had a facility. So, maybe not quite, but it would have taken a good chunk out of it. It would have taken a good 10,000 out of it at least. Thank you, Chip. Sorry to put you under the gun on that, and folks, sorry to share my disappointment and frustrations. I try to remain as professional as possible, but it is frustrating. All righty, we'll say our prayers, keep bugging council, keep it priority. I think that's the only other thing we can do to help. And yes, if any of those people are asking us when a theater's coming, when we're at places like Celebrate Oldsmar, we can pass that information back along to staff as well, all right? And hopefully, one of the feasibility studies, just to wrap up, that were done included a theater along with all Parks and Rec. There was about 45 to 50 questions. There was 2 questions about the theater or arts.
In the last survey?
Yeah, the one that was done like 10, 15 years ago, that we
I
paid,
thought
like,
in this last one.
that we paid like $10,000 to do and look at the feasibilities and things like that, but it was not about a theater, it was about Parks and Rec in general, and we were pretty much like a footnote, so the footnote didn't carry enough. So hopefully, a feasibility study and some surveys from our community might show more of an interest. So thank you very much, guys. Anything else to add on that, anybody? I think I've already talked it out. Let's see, board comments. Do we want to start on one end or the other?
No comment.
No comment tonight. You're up, girl.
I think I'm fried right now.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, surviving
I'm
the
heading
heat.
over this way.
I have a question.
Okay,
It's a hot summer,
hot
It sure
summer.
is.
and it's been really hot, obviously. Is there a way to propose or find out if we can get shades over the parks? Like they do in the playgrounds, like
Like Wall Springs Park?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
you
I
see it
seen
at other
them.
playgrounds around in other cities.
So we've looked at that before. They are as expensive or twice as expensive
Really?
as it is to install a playground. They're very, very expensive. So it's something that we certainly have to budget for from a capital standpoint. It's not something, they're very expensive.
Because we've been dodging our own parks because we can't, like, the
Right.
kids want to go and we can't be there for more than 20
I
minutes.
feel you.
So we're like,
Especially
if
one
we
like,
could get them in the shade and then we
Yeah.
can hang out and they can go before,
Right.
you know, then we can do that. But like, we haven't been able to go to an Oldsmar playground,
yeah.
you know.
Park
just-
somewhere
It's
else.
kind of like being up
Cool.
north in the wintertime. You just,
library.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But the kids don't
the
care.
reverse.
My kids don't care. They say, we want to go to a park and now we have to figure it out.
I feel you. The one in REOs, depending on the day, it's
Yeah, it
not that
depends on-
bad because of
yeah.
the shade. But like Mobley Bayou,
Yeah.
we love going there, and that one's brutal.
Is that in your
It
budget to
doesn't make
look
a
at
difference
in?
right now if you had to cover over it or not. It's terrible.
No, you're right, but
Yeah.
with the shade,
Yeah.
at least the actual
Right.
facilities aren't so hot.
Right.
You know, it's not like super hot. And I mean, it's still hot no matter what. It's not really like, we're not talking about like
Is
putting
that,
it in a fridge, you know, but at least you get a little
No
bit
air
of shade.
conditioning.
I mean, we could pray that it gets better. This year was,
Yeah.
from summer camp standpoint, we had a week where we had to cancel boating day because it was that brutal where the students were telling us we don't want to go on the boats. Because they're John boats and they're aluminum. And one of the weeks I had 2 kids get sick that I freaked out, you know, and we didn't even go out into the bay like we usually do. We were just in the estuary. I mean, it was really, I can't explain how bad it
yeah,
was.
we're getting feels like 120. It was
Yeah.
99 degrees yesterday. I mean, it's.
So hopefully, that's just, I don't know, things will get better in general because our kids won't be able to go to
But I
the
said, I
park.
almost hope it rains Friday and Saturday, so we move our summer dance recital inside, because I got 2 girls that are dancing in 7 numbers in 30 minutes with costume changes out in that heat. Yeah, so we're trying to actually get Sunbelt to donate one of the air conditioner blowing units like the football players use to try to blow some air on it and stuff. On the new playground that's going in, is that something that you can look at currently with the budget as it goes in? Even if it's not, even if it's those triangle shaped
Yeah,
things.
that's what I was saying, like, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, the triangle.
Look like
I was curious as to how much those
Sails.
cost, because I don't know.
Me too, I didn't realize, I didn't, had no
they're very
idea.
expensive.
It's not the shade
I
itself.
guess that
that's
makes sense why a lot of parks don't have
Yeah,
them.
like, I figured it was
Shade
expensive.
itself that's
I-
expensive, it's the structure that they hang
Yeah.
off of.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just for example, the scoreboards that we just got in baseball, the scoreboards themselves were less than the posts. And city staff ended up installing the posts themselves because what the estimate that, all 3 estimates that they got were,
It was like $80,000. The
Yeah.
scoreboards cost around $32,000. It was $80,000 for installation. So we did it ourselves.
Sure.
So
Now, is that because of inflation or is that in general? Because you know now,
a little
like,
bit of both, I would
Yeah.
it's
imagine.
this year seems like inflation is way off. Like for things that are like, come on, how do you justify a price like that?
Right.
Price tag.
That's insane.
So, so just for example, on a smaller scale, for, I think it's a 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 shade structure that we're looking to install when we kind of go back to do, in the future capital budgets, we've proposed to replace some of our fitness areas that are outside. So we were thinking about, okay, well, let's get a smaller unit, probably about, the size of this, twice the size of this table, 3 times the size of this table. They run around $12,000 just for like a 10 by 10, 12 by 12 area. So exponentially from there.
Well, keep looking at your options. I would think the sales would be your cheapest option. I mean, I looked at one for the house and you
Right,
can
but
get them
like
for
I s-
$90 to
Like I said, the
$225, but
sales
it's
aren't the
the,
expensive part,
it's
it's
the
the actual
installation.
structure. that
Gotcha.
They gotta hold up those cells.
They have to be able to be supported. Like, I just installed one over our batting cages. I have to go back and adjust it because it's not supported properly and it's sagging.
right.
The city's not gonna be able to do that. They have to make sure it's done
Right,
right
Of
the
course,
first time.
of course. Gotcha. All right, well, keep it in mind when you're looking at the new one, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's probably expensive, but man, that would be so nice.
And hopefully we don't always have 120 feels like summers, but, we'll have to do everything we can. I think your water fountain you're installing at one of the places probably is needed. That was over at the BMX part or something, yeah?
Sports.
And then
Sports,
the
yeah.
baseball fields,
Yeah.
it's replacing an existing one.
Right, right. So those kind of things are always helpful as well. All right, continuing on board comments. Joe, did you have anything else or you were
Oh,
good?
that's it, that's it.
Okay,
It's
Amber?
hot.
I did have one question for Chip. Did you find anything else about the car-free days, or?
I did a little bit of research on those. I think the direction that we've talked about going, because the car-free days, the ones that I've seen, it's for a long distance, and the roads are more conducive to being able to be shut down. Where you want to have a draw for an event like that, so we've been talking about maybe a trail event,
Okay.
where we would maybe have events or some type of draw at each of our parks, and you would ride the trail. So like say from Sheffield Park, maybe you have some vendors that are out there, and there's maybe some small entertainment activities for kids and families, and then you would get on the trail, then you would ride to Olds, and then you would ride to the different parks.
Kind
So
of like the bike tour we did back in.
kind of like the bike tour, but the bike tour was just, out and back, where this would have more of stops for people to do and have, be entertained. So that's kind of what we
That
were
would be a
going.
cool idea.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I have, unless Kristen and Chip want to stay another 4.5 hours and set a new record for the budget meeting. They were here for like almost 5 hours, right?
5 hours.
And our newest officially appointed board member by us, waiting to be approved by council.
No, no comments.
I'm good.
Yes,
That's
I
it, that's
always
all I
have
have.
comments. Reminder to check your lights on top of the amphitheater, your night lights. Remember, one of them was out for a while. It's usually when I go to do my recitals there, although Miss Suda's Dancers isn't at night, but you will need it fixed for your winter events and stuff down there. Please check those out. I know it takes that big unit to get up top there. Chip mentioned, or John mentioned, this Saturday, August 19th at 5 p.m. If anybody wants, it's only a 30-minute show, so you wouldn't have to stay out too long. Is Miss Suda's Dancers recital at Olds Park. Uncle Dave's Kettle Corn will be there with refreshments and their wonderful popcorn. And our rain backup, if we're confirming, is probably going to be Tico Hall. We will post notices on our social media, as well as put a sign out at the park if we end up changing that due to inclement weather, or, like I said, feels like 120. I may not want to have kids out there dancing in that heat either, so we're kind of playing that one by ear at the moment. What else was there? I think that was about it, actually. Is there any items anybody wants to see on the next meeting packet, on the next agenda? Does anybody have any new for agenda items?
I've got a question. This is just a thought. I don't know if, I haven't seen any, but is there any time or anything on calendar where we have like a music appreciation night or something, or any activities? People come out and listen to music or something at the library or anything?
I don't think at the local areas, it's more at the parks.
Sunset Sounds.
Sunset Sounds.
That we do right now, we're revamping Sunset Sounds and how we do it. We're probably gonna partner with Chamber and get bigger bands and make it more of a bigger event than we've been doing. Historically, we've done it every month or every 2 months. And budget-wise, we had to, obviously, the more bands you bring in, the less money we have to spend. So we're thinking about trying to make it maybe something quarterly, where we can pool that money from our budget so that we can get a better band, a bigger band. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. We don't have anything on the books for the rest of the year for Sunset Sound.
But of course, you do have Celebrate Oldsmar, and local music at Winter Wonderland. That's the one that we've changed names on 4 times back and forth over the years too. So forgive me if I call it Christmas Wonderland. So we do have some events that are geared towards it, and hopefully they'll revamp their Sunset Sounds. I think that we're getting some pretty decent numbers coming out for those.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's a good thing to do as well, so, good. Anything else?
I guess I would say for the next agenda item, just to make sure we know our roles for Celebrate Oldsmar, we can talk about that.
At the next meeting, so Celebrate Oldsmar review. And then Chip, an update on the property on the corner of St. Pete and State, to see if we've got any news on what's happening with that. And not that it carries any weight, but you can share our disappointment and the fact that we are back at square one on the theater. All right, if there will be nothing.
I got one more
You got
thing.
one more thing?
If we're gonna be rebranding, can we get a different color shirt?
Black is kind of hot out at Celebrate
Man,
Oldsmar,
we
for
could go a little
example.
lighter, like a lime green or.
I'll have to take that one back
Salmon?
and find out. It's,
Right.
it's, the branding is very specific. It's not just an arbitrary thing. So there are colors and designs that are only the ones that are approved.
Yeah.
So check what our options are and put that on our next agenda because that'll be 3 months away anyways, and
Okay.
some of the other stuff will be moving.
That doesn't clash with the logo, I get it. But, you know, maybe something.
But
that's
maybe
like,
right,
hey,
go
we're
with
here, you know?
with the
we're not-
new
I
colors,
don't look like
the colors of
security,
the
you know?
logo.
Yeah, we do feel like security. I mean, I wear black all the time, but then that's because it's a backstage
You're doing
thing. so-
surveys and you're
Yeah.
wearing black and you're like, hey, come in.
Men in black.
Unless it says staff really big across the front,
Tell me
right?
what you like.
I want these services vibrant.
All right, so do I have a motion to conclude our meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All of those in favor? Aye. Meeting concluded. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Chip and